You go now with Ellis at corner.
Right now, well, Coyle George had a heck of a spring and played a lot, played some last year. So, he and DeAndre would be the starters right now.
But then Javon Walker, what's his kind of situation?
Still not sure when he's going to be able to start. He's certainly not as far off as his Bowens, but I don't know if he's going to be ready to start next week or not.
How do you envision Jamal Simmons' role?
He's fighting for a starting job. He and Byers are fighting for the strong safety job right now.
Is Ellis a significant loss?
He played some last year, but this would have been his first effort to start. So, yeah, it's another depth issue that now a redshirt freshman's got to step up and move into a spot that maybe didn't have to.
Part of some of that yardage, I know you don't let the guy catch the ball, but part of your design is not to prevent the big play. So, I mean, is some of that skewed
Yeah, some of
by
it's
your
coming.
scheme?
It's coming a couple games too. So that we didn't play very good.
What?
Yeah, so, you're going to let him catch the ball, some of them, but you got to knock them down. You can't give them yards after the catch.
Was Nate your best pass defender last year?
At linebacker.
What does it say about your division that 4 out of the 6 teams received at least 7 first-place votes?
That nobody knows what's going to happen.
But I mean, do you kind of foresee?
Everybody's hedging their bets.
Do you kind of foresee the same kind of thing last year? I mean, where everybody had 4 or 5 losses. I mean, it was that bunched from top to bottom. I think one game separated everybody.
Nobody had 5 losses.
Well, 3 or 4 losses. Yeah, okay.
Unfortunately, that's probably good for a lot of the schools. But then once again, go back to your question about the national image, it's not because you don't have the dominant team that's beating everybody. So, it should be a heck of a year. It should be exciting again. A lot of us have won. As you said, when you got, 10 teams that were 4-4 better in the conference. It's parity.
Coach, Willie and Jamel talked a lot yesterday about the close games y'all had last year and how a play here and a play there could have been a lot different. What have y'all done this year to kind of are you harping more on the fundamentals of the game, making things, I guess, working on simplicity? What are you doing to make those close games go your way, maybe?
You keep working on fundamentals all the time. You keep trying to build their confidence that when you get in those situations that this is how you succeed, not how. We're not going to succeed like we did in the past, but it still comes down, crucial parts of the game. Guys are going to have to step up and make plays, and the more a guy is comfortable in that situation, the more he's played, the more opportunity he has to make that play.
I know he led your team in receiving, but Owen, when you watch film with him, are you like, good job getting open, or do you drop the hammer on him for dropping some of those long?
No, I don't think you ever can drop a hammer on a kid. You have to be positive, and that. He had a great spring. I don't know if he dropped the ball in spring. I mean, so things have gone well with him. You still have to do it when there's 60,000 Wolfpack fans screaming in the stand September the 3rd.
Is that just a concentration thing, or?
I think it is. It's thinking that you got taking your eye off at the last minute instead of looking it in and grabbing it, and he played a little bit as a true freshman. Last year was his first real experience playing a lot, so he should be much better this year.
How much have, I guess you probably can only speak for yourself, but maybe you've heard other coaches with the economic times right now, people after you to, make sure that every budget expense is justified?
That didn't bother me. Last November, I went to our director of football operations, said, cut 10%. Show me how I can cut 10% out of this budget. So we did it before they told us to do it.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you give me some examples of some things that you...
No, certainly, we would have done it anyway, is take the bus to Virginia Tech. I mean, obviously with 8 home games, that's going to help our budget a lot.
Yeah.
And busing to Wake Forest and busing to Virginia Tech. We used to mail a lot, get out of the mailing business and get more into internet, things like that, save postage. Look for cuts here and there. You get bloated, and it's probably something you ought to probably do every 2, 3, or 4 years anyway, is find a way to cut your budget back, because you get to where you keep adding and adding. So those are all things we looked at, and we're trying to be a little smarter in how we spend our dollars now.
Coach, you've got a BCS opponent in the first game. What have you seen of South Carolina, and would you prefer to play somebody maybe smaller in stature?
No, I like playing a game like that first game of the year. I think it's it helps your team starting in spring practice with the attention they have to play because of the opener, and they know that they got the opportunity, especially when you're on national TV in the first game of the year. You have to be at your best. I've seen teams that you start off with somebody that maybe is not a BCS opponent that doesn't pay as much attention during preseason because they think they can catch up as the year goes on, but that's not the case. You want to be able to start at a high level and get better from there, and this helps you do that.
Do you use last year's game against South Carolina as a motivator, or do you figure they can figure it out on their own?
I think they're smart enough to figure that out on their own. But, we played well for a half, and then, same thing. It's kind of like our first game and our last game. We lost our quarterback at half, and things went downhill from there.
Have you, in your career as a head coach, coached a team against a Steve Spurrier team, or
not as a head coach? No.
Yeah.
No, I used to just watch he and George argue all the time. I don't know. Nobody.
Willie has proclaimed Jamel healthy. Is he?
Willie has.
Willie's your official spokesman.
I understand that.
Figured that out this weekend.
I heard Willie had Nate running after the bus. See, I said to Willie, I wish I could say that. I'd love to be able to do that.
Jerk us around a little bit. He's proclaimed Jamel healthy.
Yeah, I wouldn't believe anything Willie says.
Do you think he's...
Just as a sidebar.
You think he's ready?
Jamel?
Yeah.
He's been cleared. He's been doing everything. He should be full go.
That kind of puts you farther ahead than where you were last year. He was hurt. I don't think Andre was 100%.
No, he was fine. He sprained his ankle the third scrimmage.
Okay.
Jamel did.
The third scrimmage, but not the first game.
Yeah.
Kushner full go?
He should be full go.
You talk about what he adds now. You've got probably, I would guess, 3 tight ends you probably feel pretty comfortable with at this point.
Well, as long as he's healthy, we have 2. He and George Bryant. That was, in essence, we lost another starter the second game of the second quarter for the year in Kushner. But, obviously George did a great job last year and filled in, learned a lot, and played very well. So if we can get Kush back to where he was, and with George, that gives us 2. And then, you've got the opportunity with Carter as a redshirt freshman, to be in a spot where George Bryant was last year, trying to learn before George ended up starting the year until, Anthony got back. So, hopefully you'll be in that situation. So you're in a pretty good tight end rotation now as far as, a senior, a sophomore and a freshman, and a pipeline going.
I've heard good things about Carter, too.
Mara did a nice job in the spring. I mean, he's a freshman, and there's a lot of things he's got to learn and do better, but he certainly has shown that he has some talent.
Coach, you talked a lot about Ted Larson, but could you expand more on the offensive line and their progression this year?
Well, they have to be better. I mean, we expect them to be better. McCullough, I think, will be a much better football player. He's going to be a 3-year starter. Both Williams and Vermiglio played the left tackle for us for the last 2 years. At spring experiment, we put Williams at guard and played Vermiglio at tackle, and I think you're going to start the preseason with those 2 guys that way because they both have played. And then the question is where we're going to go with right guard. We're giving Barbie a shot to be the starter there, but certainly we'll take a look at all those redshirt freshmen, and if we'll figure out how that works out.
Building this program, what's been harder than you might have anticipated? What are the advantages?
Well, the only thing that's never anticipated is the amount of injuries we had and the disruption that they put into your football team. And even though it's a disruptive at that time, it gives the opportunity, as we talked about, George Bryant that had the opportunity to play much more, that puts us in better position this year at that one position. But that's the thing that, we never could develop the consistency to become a really good